Hey everyone, you're tuned into InfoQuench with Jeff.
And Amy. Join us as we talk about anything.
And everything.
All the stuff that makes life interesting.
So let's get to it. Hey everybody, and welcome to InfoQuench. I'm your host, Jeff.
And I'm Amy, and this episode is going to be all about mini resolutions.
And Jeff's squeaky chair.
Yes, we just spent, I don't know how many, we always do a little bit of a test recording before we start the actual recording of the podcast, knowing that we don't edit afterward. You get it in the raw state.
I wonder if they're saved, because that would be funny to release all those.
Well, yeah, all the outtakes. But I noticed in the last, I think at least 2 podcasts, I could hear Jeff's chair squeaking at various points. So I get the very uncomfortable, quiet but very rigid chair, and Jeff gets the office chair that is very squeaky. So we all have our crosses to bear here, but he's going to try to stay still. We're going to minimize the squeaks.
That's right.
As we drink our buble.
Buble.
I think that's how it's... I don't know if anyone else has discovered buble, which is like the sparkling flavored water. We get it at our Atlantic Superstore here in St. John, New Brunswick. But I wonder if Michael Bublé gets any kind of royalties off this.
You never saw the commercials?
No.
With him in? Oh, okay. Yeah.
Oh, is he actually in it?
Yeah, and it's not, I don't think the drink is actually called Bublé. It's Bubbly. Like it's Bubbly.
Is he actually called Bublé?
He's Bublé.
All right, let's get on with this.
All right. So, how many of you out there listening kept your New Year's Eve resolution?
Right. So it's January 30th when we are recording this podcast. And according to an article in U.S. News and World Report, by the second week of February, almost 80% of people will have already broken their New Year's resolutions.
Yes.
And we always like to talk on New Year's Eve about what resolutions we're going to make.
Did we talk about our New Year's resolutions during one of our podcasts? I can't even recall whether we did or not.
We may have touched on it briefly.
Yeah, okay.
But this whole episode, we're going to talk about the idea of mini resolutions that you can do any time of year. So if you've already broken your resolution for 2021, have no fear. We're here for you.
I've noticed
we've got lots of great ideas to make you feel guilt-free as you take on your next resolution.
I've noticed that there has been a growing trend in the social media realm of people doing these mini resolution things, where they do a certain thing for like 30 days or whatever. And
how topical are we then?
We touched upon
it. It's almost like we planned it.
Yes, we've noticed that. But no, even before we decided to do a podcast on it, there was a growing trend in that. Like, it's always kind of been there, like, Inktober, where people draw a picture every single day of October with ink, obviously. So
it's not like they did bring out the crayons for Inktober.
No, you can't use charcoal for Inktober.
Well, the definition of a resolution is a firm decision to do or not to do something. And I think the majority of resolutions, as they traditionally are done, is people make a resolution and they make it forever. So, for instance, they may say, January 1, I am going to, exercise every day for the rest of my life. And what happens
is... That's really unrealistic.
Well, or even if they say, I'm going to run, 5 days a week for the rest of my life.
Yeah.
Something like that. As soon as they miss 1 week or, one day that they had planned, they've already failed at their resolution. So a lot of that resolution setting, when you have that indefinite timeline, you're just setting yourself up for failure right on the front end.
Yeah, you're right. And it does set yourself up for failure when you make a goal that is unattainable for the most part. I mean, some people actually really do work out every single day or draw a picture for every single day of Inktober. But a lot of people kind of miss a day or two or whatever. But I've seen a lot of instances where people, if they do miss a day or two, they make it up. They say, I missed Monday and Tuesday, so here's 2 extra drawings to make up for that.
And I mean, a 30-day challenge is not usually too much for people to take on. I think most people can take on that 30-day commitment. It's interesting that I've been seeing a lot of ads popping up from the Canadian Cancer Society for Dry February, and I know a lot of people traditionally do Dry January, but the Cancer Society, they're doing a fundraiser where they're challenging people to do dry February, but they have options of doing only 7 days or 14 days dry, understanding that even a 30-day or a whole month challenge, it might be hard for people. So they've sort of, made it more adaptable to still keep their fundraiser going. And
it's almost like in exercise videos when you have that person at the back that's just sort of
the modified version.
The modified version and stuff. You do the modified version for every single one of these challenges, I think. Whatever works for you.
I mean, that's the thing. You can do a little bit of research online on the various challenges that are out there, and I encourage you to do that depending on what your interests are. But we're going to spend this episode going through a few of the characteristics of a mini resolution that will set yourself up for success and also give you some ideas of some things that you could consider doing.
Right. We should talk about why is it that people actually feel the need to do any kind of resolution for New Year's? Is it that they want to start the new year anew,
Well, definitely. I think the idea of resolutions in and of themselves are just around self-improvement and people always striving towards personal growth. So, which is a really positive thing. And I think there are certain times of year that lend themselves more to that reset of routine and renewal. So New Year's definitely being one of them, usually, after the debauchery of the holiday season.
So what does it say about a person if they just don't feel the need to make any kind of resolution?
Like you?
It's like they're perfect. No, I made a resolution to do more art, and I've been doing that.
Right.
And it's been really successful. I'm really happy with that. So it's, everybody's got their own different thing.
But you have a tendency not to feel like you need to
I guess so.
I know often when we talk about resolutions and those types of things, which is great. I think that's a great way to be too. But there are some people who are really invigorated by the challenge of a resolution, and I'm one of those people. So hopefully some of our listeners are too.
You love the challenge, and you, more than anybody that I've ever known, really sticks to the challenge, and it's really impressive.
I have a strong work ethic.
You have a strong work ethic. You definitely do.
When we talk about times of renewal, I think another key time for people is in September. So again, people get off schedule and off routine over the course of the summer with vacations and kids being out of school. So often you'll see people sort of reset in September with new goals and new routines that they want to start. But I would encourage people to maybe look at the start of each month or maybe even at the start of each season as a chance to renew. I know people associate spring with spring cleaning and things around the house. So maybe line up some challenges around that time that sort of fit with how you're feeling in that season. The same with, the summertime. You might be wanting to spend more time outdoors. So come up with some mini resolutions that help you spend more time out there. So I think it's interesting to consider the idea that resolutions can be very positive. They don't, a lot of times it's what am I going to stop doing? I love doing this thing and now I have to stop doing it, and that's my resolution.
Yes.
And that's depressing to look at it that way. Why not look at things that you want to expand upon? If you always wanted to do X, then find a mini resolution that'll help you move toward that goal.
Right. Yeah, that makes sense. Find out what works for you. Not to get too philosophical, but really, everybody listening, and you and I, everybody in the world, all we have is time. So why not use it wisely? And making resolutions is sort of scheduling your time to a certain task, I guess.
Well, you're right. I think a lot of people are using the pandemic as a time for personal development.
That's what I did with my art, right? Not to go back to me. It's always about me.
You and your art hole.
I know, my art hole. That's what I call the basement part of
our little art studio.
The art hole
in the basement.
I'm gonna make a little sign.
You should.
I should.
You definitely should. That needs to happen. That needs to be one of your mini resolutions.
Yeah.
But I think if you approach the resolutions almost as a way to experiment with yourself. Tim Ferriss is, a popular podcast author who's known for self-experimentation, and his are probably a little bit more extreme. He'll try out different supplements or, exercises and things like that to test them out just so that his listeners, he can report back. But it's a great time to just experiment with yourself in terms of, for instance, if you ever wanted or consider being a vegetarian, why not set yourself a challenge to try vegetarianism for 30 days?
Just to see what you think.
See what you think. And then at the end of 30 days, you might be like, no, that's not for me.
Yeah.
Or you might find that you really love it, but you don't need to make that decision on the front end. You just commit to going 30 days, trying it out, see what all the fuss is about on something, and then decide, and then stop wondering for the rest of your life whether that is something you should try to do.
You seriously won't know unless you try.
Right.
It's like, if you quit drinking for an entire month and stuff like that, you won't know what that feels like until you do it.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I guess that's sort of what spurred this idea on, is I did the alcohol experiment. I'm on my last day of the 30-day alcohol experiment.
The last day.
And it's been a really interesting process. It's a book by Annie Grace, if anybody wants to check it out, and I think there's website and social media resources on it as well. But essentially, it's just an exploration of your personal relationship with alcohol and alcohol in our culture, and
correct me
it's very enlightening.
You don't necessarily have to have, quote unquote, a problem with alcohol in order to do whatever's in this book. It's just your relationship with it, right? Why you need to drink.
This isn't an intervention, honey.
No, I know. So the reason why I've asked you here today.
No, that particular book is interesting because it doesn't even press people to give up alcohol forever. It's just a different look at, it's basically just for people to reflect on it, to see if they do have a healthy relationship with alcohol, and just to be aware of how it's marketed in our culture and really ingrained in a lot of social events and everything that we do. So I found it fascinating. So that idea of a 30-day experiment to me was very easy. It's an easy thing to commit to. The month of January flew by. And
now, if this is something that you really, really enjoyed and feel like it was beneficial to your life, that would be something that you would adopt for the rest of your life, perhaps, or at least another month.
Well, right? That's right. I think same with the idea of vegetarianism. You don't need to declare that you're a vegetarian. Maybe you're just somebody who wants to eat a primarily vegetarian diet. You try the 30 days and you realize you like it, and you're like, you know what, I'm going to choose more vegetarian meals than not.
Yes.
Or you might be like, I'm going to eat meat morning, noon, and night.
Yeah, or once a week.
Or once a week.
You could have a cutoff time.
I think the key to setting these mini resolutions is to keep them smart. Now, anybody who's has heard of SMART goals will understand what I mean, but one of the keys around goal setting, and I think it applies to these types of resolutions or challenges, is the idea of keeping them specific.
Yes.
So SMART is an acronym. The S means specific. So be specific about what you want to do, what you want to accomplish, and measurable. So, however you're going to measure it, maybe it's, for some people it can be as simple as marking an X on a calendar. I know Seinfeld has talked about that in various,
that's right.
that it's just that alone can make you accountable, the visual of having that X on the calendar. The A in SMART is attainable. Make sure it's something that you can actually accomplish. If you're setting a goal that with your resolution that you just are not going to be able to meet. Like, for instance, if you're saying I'm going to read 3 hours a day and you work a full-time job and have other commitments, then that's not going to be attainable. So make sure it's attainable, set yourself up for success that way. The R in SMART is relevant. So make sure it's relevant to your values, your goals. Do things that interest you. Don't just do them because they're trendy. Although sometimes that's fun because you see a lot of content on social media to help support you along the way. But I think it's important to choose things that you're passionate about. And then the final one is make sure...
It's T.
It's T. Good job. Time-based.
Time-based.
So have that end date, whether it's 30 days, whether it's, 2 weeks, or... I would suggest, no more than 30 days. I think that's a pretty...
Where did the SMART acronym come from again?
It's used often in goal setting.
Oh, just in goal setting. It wasn't. Was it in the book that you read as well?
No, I mean you
just adopted that from something different.
I mean, anybody who's in corporate culture will often talk about SMART goals throughout projects and things like that. So it's a great acronym to make things concrete, really well, and to know whether or not you've actually achieved something at the end.
Yeah.
So the idea with this is that, at the end of it, you can check off the box and say, I accomplished something, and you can celebrate that success.
Feels good, and you always want to have somewhat of a goal. Like one of your goals was to acquire a French press coffee machine once you were finished right?
Yes.
And so you're going to stick to that, right?
Yes.
And you have a tendency not to, though. So what's the point, right? What my point is, what's the point in making a goal and then having a reward at the end if you don't follow through with the reward?
Well, I know. Because I still have the sense of accomplishment of having gone through that process of going through the 30-day alcohol experiment. Even
Was there times when you were going through it though, where you were thinking,
I want that press.
when I get finished this, I'm gonna
not really.
Okay,
I just arbitrarily set that as a reward. But then at the end of it, I was like, I don't really need a reward.
Yeah.
I also don't like to buy extra things to bring into our house because of our minimalist nature.
I was going to tell you, I guess this is a good time to tell you that after my 30 full days of making art, I was going to get a Lamborghini. So, because after watching comedians in cars getting coffee, I just wanted to get my own Lamborghini and go get a coffee.
Yeah, that'll work well in January in Canada.
Pretty low.
The ground clearance on
pretty
those
low
are
riding cars.
great.
You're right. That would
should make it out of the driveway great once the snowplow goes by.
I get our buddy Jake Palmer to soup it up for us. Shout out to Jake Palmer.
Yeah, I think Porsches are more his deal.
Super realtor.
So, what the heck were we talking about?
I don't know. Anyways, sorry. You know me and my tangents.
I know. That's okay.
We're back to SMART. We just finished talking about SMART.
So I would say one of the things that you could do is sort of plan out some different mini resolutions you'd like to do throughout the course of the year. Maybe jot them down if you have a journal, or even just grab a piece of paper, list them out, and then something else that you can kind of check off. But I would also suggest keeping it to maybe 2 challenges at a time in 2 different areas of your life. So,
or none, because I don't have any challenges going on right now.
So for me in January, I had obviously the alcohol experiment, but I also started a 21-day exercise program, and then once that was finished, I started a new exercise program for a set amount of weeks, which is great. Rather than just set a goal of just exercising so many times a week for the rest of my life,
right?
I felt a real sense of accomplishment after the 21-day program, and then it can start fresh with something new. So that's exciting. Keeps the
and
interest
you already
levels
know that you
up.
can do that 21 days. So I can do another 21 days, and then I can do another 21 days. Right. Just keep going that way.
It's like working on a big project. If you break it up into smaller chunks, it makes it more manageable, and you get to see that progress, as you go along.
Yeah.
So
exactly. That's a great way to do it.
And I think part of looking at that too, some people will set a goal of, I'm going to lose weight, and I'm going to lose 2 pounds a week until I get to my target weight.
Yeah.
Well, maybe a more positive way to think about that is to provide yourself with some mini resolutions or challenges that will have the side effect of weight loss, but that isn't in and of itself
all about
the
weight
main
loss.
focus. So maybe it's just around nutrition. Maybe you have a goal to drink more water, set number of glasses of water a day for
maybe it's
a
a
month
complete
to get
lifestyle
that habit.
change, right? Like our experience with Simply for Life. That's the way it kind of was. It's like you change not just the way you eat, but the way you live in a way.
Well, and sometimes when you do things for 30 days, it just the habit becomes ingrained, and then you just keep going without even thinking about it.
Yeah.
So once you get in the habit of drinking water, another one that you could do would just be, doing some home cooked meals. So maybe you commit to cooking, at least 3 home cooked meals a week, or completely just eat home cooked meals and.
What are some of the the challenges, the mini challenges that you've seen, perhaps online? Have you? I've seen quite a few.
Have I researched them, do you mean?
Well, I know you have. You researched everything.
Well, one great one is
bring up something very arbitrarily, and you would already have researched it at one point or another.
One interesting one that I see come up time and again is from the minimalists, who are 2 guys. They've got a couple of documentaries on Netflix. If you haven't heard about them and interested in minimalism, definitely check them out. They've got a lot of content online. It's an interesting concept,
and we've bought into it.
As I look around at our house full of records and books.
Yes.
As an aside, Jeff posted a picture with...
Because it was Richard Brodigan's birthday today.
Right.
One of our...
And he posted a picture on Facebook with, I think, 6 or 7...
of his books.
And I'm like, is that from our house? Do we have all of those Richard Brodigan books? That's one author.
You read
and we have all those books in our house.
Didn't you? You read Watermelon Sugar, didn't you?
No, you always think I did.
Oh.
And I haven't. Do we have it?
Must be my other wife.
I'll read it. Yeah, that's the problem when you've got 2 families on the run. You can't keep track of which books are where. Must be like Oprah in all her houses. She's like, where did I leave that iron? She doesn't iron. Okay.
She does not iron. She probably owns a company of irons.
I heard a rumor once that she would have, she had her bedding ironed or something like that.
Or brand new bedding every single day is what I've heard.
Oh, do you say iron or do you say iron?
Iron. I say iron.
Iron.
I know, it's like an East Coast thing. What do you say?
Iron. I don't know.
Next.
Now that I've overthought it, I can't think about it. So back to the minimalists. They have a game called it's the 30-day minimalism game.
Oh, yes.
And it's pretty basic. They suggest that you pair up with a friend or a coworker and challenge each other to both stick to it as a bit of a competition to keep you motivated and accountable.
Yeah, that's really smart to do it that way.
And the idea, each person gets rid of one item from their house on the first day of the month. And on the second day, they get rid of 2. And on the third day, 3. You can see the pattern.
I don't get it at all. No, I'm just joking.
For 30 days. And so items could be everything from, decorations to kitchenware to clothing,
anything,
tools.
Anything, really? Like
anything
piles
in your
of
house.
paper? Could you do piles of paper? Just random paper?
Yeah, so one page of paper is going to be one of your items.
Wait a minute, that's KonMari. That's Marie Kondo.
So the
idea
idea
they've
is,
ever met, those guys, Marie Kondo and the Minimalists.
I bet you they are all together in cahoots.
There'd be nothing in the room.
There wouldn't be.
Oh, what a joke! It's a Seinfeld-esque joke.
So the idea is that when you're sort of gathering up these items, try not to trash them, as that would be your last resort, but maybe try to sell them or donate them.
Right.
Now, they actually suggest that you get rid of each item by midnight each day. Now, I think that's excessive. I don't, to try to get
Some people
things
are
out of
night
your
owls.
house. Well,
some people need to throw things out at 2 in the morning.
I prefer to put all the things in my trunk and drive around with them for a month.
We have done that.
I know
we have done that on
many times,
many occasions.
And
Big pile
alone.
of books in the back of the car.
There's a meme going on around about that, and I'm like, I can relate to that.
Yeah.
But it seems like an easy game at first, but when you get up to like day 25 and you're trying to find 25 items, that's significant. So I'm actually going to challenge you, Jeff, that you and I should do this.
Not with my records. Not with my books.
That
CDs. Okay, go ahead.
Well, they can be whatever you want.
Okay. You're going to challenge me
You choose which of your babies. It's like Sophie's Choice. You choose which of your babies have to go. But just to give you an idea, I did the math on this. Even if we just did it for 10 days, it's still going to be well over 50 items each.
Yeah.
So I think we do it for 10 days, and then we give ourselves till the end of the month to get it out of the house.
Or take things back out of it and keep.
No. That's not, no. It's not a grace period in where you...
Yes, there should be a month grace period where you could take anything back into the fold.
So I do.
No, I guess we could do that.
It's a great way to declutter, and it's it's thoughtful because you're just getting rid of a few items at a time, and you can sort of be thinking ahead about what items you could do for the following day. So this is what.
So an item can be like a CD, and then the next day I could get rid of another CD.
2 CDs. It goes the next.
Oh yeah.
Day 2 is 2 items.
And then two items. And
so we're going to start that February 1st, and we're going to go until February 10th.
Okay.
So that'll get over 100 items out of the house.
Are we going to document it in one of our podcasts, to see how we?
Well, I think we'll just be accountable and report back to see if we actually did it.
Okay, we'll report back, loyal listeners.
We don't need to give you all the details. Some other ideas on challenges that you can do, and I would encourage you to, if you do journal or even just jot down your thoughts around the challenges as you're doing them, or even just a few sentences when you finish, to see whether or not it's something you enjoyed and would want to repeat again down the road.
Yeah.
Sometimes it's just easier to do it while it's fresh and the memory of it is fresh. Meditation challenges are very popular, and particularly in 2021, I think there's a focus on self-love, self-compassion. And I heard an interesting definition of it recently, because I think people often have a hard time with the idea of self-love, and they think that the opposite... Well, the cars are going by tonight. They think the opposite of self-love is to be selfless, which, people may see that as an admirable quality to strive toward, right? To be selfless and, serving and that sort of thing. But the opposite of self-love is really self-neglect.
Right.
And if you look at it that way, it's much easier to realize that you do, owe yourself some compassion, to look after yourself through self-care, and that they say, fill the cup so that you have more to give. So there are meditation challenges around that. 10% Happier is a podcast that they had a challenge and an app associated with that. But just, do a search if that's something that interests you, or even on other types of meditation. There's transcendental meditation, if you want to focus on breath, or walking meditations, or there's forms of Buddhism for sitting meditation. So if that mindfulness is something you would like to improve upon, then search out some meditation challenges. Again, maybe it's, just a 14-day challenge, and see if that's right for you. If it's something you've always wondered about, give it a try. If it's not something you enjoy, then you can cross it off your list forever and say, yeah, I once meditated and it was not my bag.
Some people don't need to meditate.
That's true.
Just joking.
Nature. A challenge could be to just get out in nature 3
Yes.
times a week for, at least 15 minutes.
It does the body and the mind good.
Absolutely. Particularly this time of year, a lot of people are getting into the winter blues, and, lack of vitamin D can definitely contribute to that. So getting out, getting some natural light. Yeah, seasonal affective disorder. And just 15 minutes is a small amount of time that you can fit in. A lot of times once you get out the door, you find that you want to spend a little bit more time. Maybe go for a little longer walk or a little longer hike. Nutrition. We talked a bit about nutrition. You could do the vegetarian challenge, a water challenge, try cooking only at home. Maybe just try a new recipe once a week.
Oh, there's also the challenge where you only buy your groceries within 30 miles of where you live.
Yeah, I have that on here too. So you could challenge yourself to,
Of course you do.
a 30-day challenge where you only buy things that are local. You can set that by a radius if you want to do the math, and certain radius of kilometers from your house, or just basically say, I'm only going to buy what's in my town or in my city from those storefront. And I think this, during the pandemic, supporting local is especially important, but it's important any time of year. And you may find that if you take the time to search out the items that you need locally, you may find that there's more to offer and higher quality than maybe you were aware of. So I think that's a great experiment that also helps support local businesses.
Did I ever tell you about Inktober? Inktober is really cool. It's 30
Tell us about
days,
Inktober.
30 days, and you take your pen or your ink or whatever, and you have to draw a picture, and you share it online in this big group called Inktober, and you do it for 30 days, and it's just meant to just get you drawing.
Are they on Facebook?
They're on Facebook and Instagram. I've never partook in it, actually.
Inktober could also be like get a tattoo a day for a month.
Yeah, can you imagine?
No.
Just one line a day. Yeah.
Definitely a lot of
tattoos. Remember, we talked about that. Not to go on a big tangent, but don't need to talk about tattoos now.
I just give Jeff the death stare of
Time's a wasting.
Time's a wasting. Different ways for creativity. You could focus on writing.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe Charlie agrees.
Charlie wants to write.
If you want to, set aside
being a cat.
Maybe it's just 1 hour a week on the weekend that you set aside to practice the art of writing and see what you got to put out there on the page. Photography.
Yeah.
Or maybe it's you're already doing your art and you press yourself to share your art with the world. So maybe, you decide to do one post on social media and put your art out there for other people to enjoy.
There's a lot of those kinds of things that are on Instagram and on Facebook where the people share, like, I've done it myself, like where you share a black and white photo for 30 days.
Oh, yeah.
And you share like someone else's art for like 30 days.
But the idea is just even share your own and put that out there. You can challenge yourself to read for a certain amount of, instead of saying I'm going to read 50 books this year. That's hard. Why not just say I'm going to read 15 minutes a day for this month?
Yeah.
Maybe you want to do more family time and you say I'm going to do 2 board games a week.
Yeah.
For 30 days. Maybe trying gratitude journaling, trying that out for 30 months, see whether 30 months,
Wasn't there
30
one
days.
about clothing too that you did? Was there some kind of In Pursuit? Was there something like to do that?
Well, In Pursuit is a great local clothing store. Yeah.
Oh, maybe it wasn't in pursuit. It was something else.
Well, there are a lot of different clothing challenges that you can look up. Technology might be something else you'd want to set. Yeah. Like if you wanted to take a break, maybe you decide for a month you're going to try turning off all technology at 8 p.m. until bedtime.
That's an interesting one.
There's a lot of challenges. I think the big thing is to set yourself up for success. Do things that excite you, that interest you, that you're passionate about. And
live your life to the fullest.
Live your life to the fullest. Make it a game. Make it fun. So set yourself some mini resolutions. Tell us about them on social media.
Yeah, get a hold of us.
Facebook,
get a hold of us. We love to hear from you.
Instagram, Twitter, all the places. And you can listen to this podcast on all the platforms. So
every platform you can think of.
Pretty much. So
yeah, thanks for listening.
Thanks for listening, everybody. Till next time.
Okay, bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thanks for listening.
And remember, you can catch up on past episodes at InfoQuench.com.
Or just about anywhere else you get your podcasts.
Be sure to follow us on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram.
And help spread the word about InfoQuench.
Till next time.